interesting and important topic in our life which has attracted you today, and I'm sure it would be of great help today. So let's try to understand our speaker today, what she is. It's an honor to have her. It's an honor to have advocate Pratibha Joshi Dalal ma'am today. She is a very senior advocate practicing of her own firm for last 21 years. Okay, she is a student of Jnana Prabodhini Nigdi. She has done her graduation from SP College, and she is a law graduate from ILS Law College, Pune University. She is appointed as a notary by Government of India since 2015. She is a member of Bar Association from Pimpri Chinchwad and Pune. Okay. She is a very, apart from her academics, she is also a very active sports person. She has represented state in various athletic competitions. She is working very closely with various government organizations, and she is a very active reader. She has a good library in her office. she she is well versed with 4 languages, and she's learning 5th one now. So she knows English, Hindi, Marathi, Kannada, and now she's learning Gujarati. Okay, but guys, we should be careful because she is the first person in Pune to find a case for women's violence, domestic violence. So be careful, and I just hand over the mic to ma'am. Ma'am, all yours. Please take us through your presentation today.
Yes. Give me one moment. Thank you, Oswald sir, for this wonderful introduction. First of all, I would thank the organizers for inviting me to speak on this serious topic. But see, I am invited. Apart from I being invited, I really want to thank all the participants today, because will is such a topic which is not very close to our heart. We don't like to listen about will, and you all have gathered today, especially in the festive season, to listen about will is really appreciable. So I will directly start with the topic because I have got a limited time of 40 minutes and I want to cover up many things. I saw the participants. It's a mixed group, I guess. Right from young people to some seniors are also there in the group. So we will address it accordingly. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, okay. So we start with the topic. We first, you all are well aware of this, that today we are going to speak only about will and not anything else. So about domestic violence and all, you all invite me once again and we'll speak separately on that topic, which is really very interesting and everybody should know. In fact, because it's a very revolutionary act which has come up. There are many new provisions which were not there initially in law, which were not recognized, have been recognized now. So it is, I think, towards legal literacy, it is one of the steps to know what domestic violence is. Since the topic came up, I just introduced to that topic. Now we come to our will. So I thank my partner, and of course, not only my professional partner, but even life partner Arjun, who is also an advocate, and we together have worked on this topic of will. So just a minute. So we will be talking on last will and testament. I saw the list of participants also. So I presume that everyone over here is a Hindu and we will speak accordingly. Am I right? Everyone is Hindu in this group. The reason I'll say why. If somebody could just address this.
Most of them are Hindu.
Okay. See, the reason why I told that we will speak, I will speak assuming that everyone is a Hindu, because we have got personal laws in India. So succession laws depend from the religion which you come from. Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Parsis, they have different successions. And therefore, presuming that everyone is Hindu, we will listen today. I will try to cover these topics. What is will? What are the elements of will? What should be ideally, what should be the parts of will? Why do I have to make a will? What should be definitely there in the will? what properties are capable to be willed out? Who visits the court in spite of there being a will, and why do they visit? General dues will definitely. There are some questions which are always asked about nominee. So we'll deal with that also. Role of executor. What is executor and what is their role? And some FAQs which are normally asked. We will deal with all these things step by step. And if time permits, we will definitely read Nani Palkhewala's will, which is very interesting. So first thing, what is a will? It's a definition which I have just copied. It's easy to understand. It's a legal declaration of the intention of the testator. Testator means a person who is making the will. So it's a legal paper of his intentions. That is what he wishes to give to whom about his property. And when will this become alive? It will become alive only after his death. So will you write it during your lifetime to be brought into practice and in effect after death? In simple language, it is simply the last will or testament. Testament is the document, is a legal document that controls your property, will be disposed of after you die. Just a minute.
Screen sharing nahi ho raha hai.
Okay.
Tell them that screen.
Just a moment. Screen sharing is not happening. I just got a message.
Able to see.
Are you able to see the screen now?
Yes, yes, we are able to see now.
Okay. Okay. So this is what I read right now. It is a legal document and a testament which controls how your property will be disposed of after you die. So one important thing which everyone has to keep in mind is that will is prepared by a person who has got some properties. What are those properties? We'll see later on. And this document, even if he executes during his lifetime, it will come into effect only after his death, not prior to his death. So we need not worry about these things. Often a question is being asked that today I write it, means does it become, so for example, I write in my will that I give my property to my son. Does it mean that my son becomes the owner right now? The answer to that is no, because after I die, then only he becomes the owner. So what are the elements of will? The first element of the will is that why do we prepare a will? Let us try to understand that. Why do we prepare a will? For the simple reason that there is an intention to dispose of the property. मेरे पास जो भी कुछ प्रॉपर्टी है वो मैं देना चाहती हूं, इसीलिए मुझे ये मृत्यु पत्र करना है. That is why this will comes into picture. What is further important element? That will can be revoked at any time during my lifetime. Means what? Today I prepare a will and I say that I give all my property to my son. After few years, that property is not in existence because maybe I have sold it or I have donated it for some other purpose. So I can change my will and say that now this property is no more in existence and therefore I don't have to dispose of anything right now. Another reason why I'm giving you only this example is this, that so long as I am living or any person is living, you can keep changing your will. And therefore this word revocation is very important. Daily life examples which I can definitely give you all is that many a times it happens that there is a very happy family and in that happy family, the father writes the will that I give to my all the sons equally, and then one of the son gets an opportunity to go abroad. He goes abroad and thereafter he doesn't take care of the parents. Somebody else takes care of the parents and the situation has changed. At that time, the father feels that no, whatever I had written earlier, I don't want to keep the same thing now. I want to do it something else. I want to change it. वक्त बदल गया है, इंसान बदल गया है, तो मैं मेरा मृत्यु पत्र भी बदलना चाहता हूं. तो ये हो सकता है क्या? तो it can definitely happen. You can change your will at any point of time so long as you're alive. But there are conditions. We will see that later on. But your will can be written at any point of time, and howsoever times you want to write it, you can keep writing your will. I have already mentioned this, that will comes into effect after death. So the will has following parts. First is declarations. Declaration means what? That all the property which I have, preferably you declare that in your will. And declaration also means this, that you declare whom you give what property. मैं किसको क्या देना चाहता हूं, ये विल में लिखना बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है, नहीं तो विल का कोई मतलब नहीं रहेगा. हम क्या देना चाहते हैं, that is assets and properties, उसकी जरूर बड़ी लिस्ट बनाइए आप और लिस्ट लिखिए. List of heirs, that also you must definitely mention. I always feel this because some wills which we have drafted in this year, in past 21 years, I can tell you all that some wills did not have the list of heirs, and जिसको 2 बच्चे हैं, एक ही बच्चे को प्रॉपर्टी दी है, दूसरा बच्चा आता है और बोलता है मुझे क्यों नहीं दिया पिताजी ने, मुझे क्यों नहीं दिया मेरे माताजी ने प्रॉपर्टी, and the dispute starts over there. So it's better that you write the list of heirs, and if you want to deprive one of the heir from not giving a property, mention the reason over there. It makes your will foolproof. Let me make one clarification over here. All these things which I have written over here is definitely part of our textbooks, but it is also the summary of all the experience which we have had of running to the courts of past 21 years. That where the dispute starts, where the dispute ends, and these are the reason where the dispute starts and ends. People don't write the full list of assets and properties. And let me tell you all, friends, it's very, very difficult to trace out the properties, especially if you're a shareholder. We don't know where your shares are. We don't know in which company you hold shares. A simply person keeps writing in the will saying that मेरे पास shares है, मैं सारे shares मेरे बच्चों को दे देता हूँ, मेरे सारे shares मैं मेरे partner को दे देता हूँ, लेकिन कितने shares है भाई तुम्हारे पास, कैसे ढूंढेंगे हम? After your death, where will we go finding? So it is always better that you mention the details. Then bank, as far as bank assets are concerned, like मेरे सारे बैंक अकाउंट में जितने पैसे हैं उतने सारे पैसे दे दो. Which bank accounts? See, the lawyer is not interested in knowing how much you have in your bank account. That is not the requirement what you have to write in your will, because you're going to withdraw the money, you're going to deposit the money, you're going to use the money. That is very indefinite what amount you hold in your account. But you have to, what you have to write in your will is that I hold a bank account. This account is in Bank of Maharashtra, Ravet branch, and my account number is so and so. That's all, only that much is important for us. That is, anything which we can identify the property is to be written. Lockers, people have multiple lockers in multiple banks. You have to write your locker number and the bank. If it's in joint owner, please write that. See, it is very important to write all those things. One more question which is often asked when we ask people to write about their bank accounts, details of their bank accounts, is that once we write and declare that I hold a bank account in Bank of Maharashtra, am I restrained from operating that account? No, you can always operate that account. All that money which stands in your account at the time of your death is the only money which will be disposed of. Please understand that. Till then you can keep on using your money, but please write the details of the assets and properties owned by you. Preferably write proper details, which is very important. Then comes the distribution of properties. Distribution of properties is very simple. Practically it is very difficult, but to write in the will, it is like this, that I give my X amount in bank so and so to my one of the sons. how you're going to distribute the property, please don't keep any ambiguity in that. Try to make it very, very clear. That is very important because it gives rise to interpretation. All my assets to be distributed equally amongst all my heirs. How it is to be distributed, we do not know. Some people would say that, for example, we had this live example, so I'm sharing this example, that two brothers were there and one brother was staying in the house and the other brother was staying abroad. And father had written that, please share this equally. Now, the difficulty which arose was that the other brother who was staying abroad, he never required this house. He said that, let us sell this house. The brother staying in the house said that, I'm staying in this house and I require this house. And there arose a dispute. So let us, when we talk about distribution of properties, we talk of equalization of the properties, how you want to distribute, and try to distribute the properties where minimum fight will be there and minimum ambiguity will be there. Please make it very clear. Then the most important part of the will is signature. How many signatures are required on the will? 3 signatures are definitely required. Please remember. Which are those 3 signatures? One is of the person making the will, that is the testator, and 2 signatures are of the witnesses. Who are these witnesses? These witnesses should be your close friend, relative, or anybody whom you feel that they are fit person. Now, when it comes to witnesses, often a question is asked, does the witness have to read the will? The witness, the job of witness is very, very, very limited. What is his limited job? His limited job is this, that the person who is making the will has to sign in presence of those witnesses, and the witnesses has to sign on that will in the presence of the person making the will. That is all. The matter is over. You don't require anything more. The witness need not know whom you have given the property, whom you have not given, what are your properties, what do you wish to do with your properties, how are you going to distribute it. The witness need not know anything about this. But the properties, but the signatures of the testator and 2 witnesses are very much required. And doctor's certificate is not prescribed in law, but we always suggest that please take a doctor's certificate so that you are always safe. Why do we require a doctor's certificate? Because the person who is making a will is certified by the doctor that he knows what he is writing. He knows the consequences of what he has written in the will. Like he is distributing the properties. He knows that he is giving property to X and he is not giving property to Y. And he knows the reason and the consequences of not giving property to Y. His normal parameters like he's sane person, his BP is good, he's not suffering from any other ailment, he can sign, he knows what he has written. To certify all these things, doctor's certificate is required. These are some practical tips which I'm saying. An Ayurvedic practitioner is also a doctor, BHMS is also a doctor, but there is no reason why and how, but courts prefer the doctor's certificate of an MBBS. So when you draft a will, complete your will, please try to obtain the doctor's certificate of an MBBS doctor, of the modern medicine doctor. So these are the practical tips, but first 5 things are very, very important. Signatures play a very important role. If the signatures are not there, your will is not complete. Unless these 3 signatures are there, will is not complete. So even if you write everything in your will, but signatures are not there, it will not be termed as a will. It's a simple piece of paper. I wish everyone sees this picture. For example, if the lady on the wall is me, do I want to see this? After my death, everyone is fighting to take out the properties from the box, small box which we are having. So I don't want to have this picture in my life at any point of time in my lifetime and after my death. So what do I do is that I make a will. So let us see now what are the advantages to avoid this situation. What are the advantages of will? So the first reason why to make a will is to avoid legal disputes among heirs. मुझे कितना मिलने वाला है, मुझे कितना नहीं मिलने वाला है, ये सब अवॉइड करने के लिए जरूर विल बनाइए. दिस इज टू अवॉइड डिस्प्यूट्स अमंगस्ट heirs आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट, जो मेरे वारसदार है. Second, to assure a wishful disposal of property. Definitely, I want to make one statement over here. See, why a will is made. If you don't make a will, what happens? We being Hindus, if a male dies without making a will, there is a list of successors which has been given by law, and your property will go to those successors. If if a Hindu woman dies, there is a list of successors given in Hindu Succession Act. Your property will go to the heirs as given per law. But now when you prepare a will, you can give the property to any person of your choice. So we say that it is a positive discrimination. Here I have a choice. During my lifetime, I will deal with my property how I want, and after my death, if I want to rule my property, I would rule my property through will, and therefore wishful disposal of the property. This is again one very important thing. You all are very elite class to whom I'm talking. So I'm sure you all would have a list of assets at one place. But when we talk of common person, they don't have a list at all. Now, will is one document where you write down the whole list and it comes very handy. I already mentioned this to change the order of succession. Like for example, I have 2 children. I want to give to one person. I don't want to give to the other. And there may be n number of reasons for it. We'll talk about those reasons. Okay, I'll talk about this right now only to change the order of succession. There are a couple of people. See, I'm giving these very general examples which I have come across. And if it coincides with any one of the participants, please forgive me for that, because there are many examples which I would be citing. Sometimes what happens is that one of the child is mentally retarded, or there is a divorcee in the house, or there is a sick person in the house who would require more care and more attention. So for all these people, we can change the order of succession. Means what? For example, I again go to the same example that I have 2 sons. My one son is very happy, living very happily, he's earning well, and my other son is mentally retarded. If I die without making a will, friends, let us understand, the law does not know that I have one mentally retarded son. The law will say you have got 2 sons. So if I have 1 rupee, 50 paise will go to one person and the other balance 50 will go to the other. Now, practically seeing, the requirement for 1 rupee is for the mentally retarded child. He would require for medication, he would require for other things. But the law does not make any change. The law will give it equally. So if I want to change it as per my requirement, I can definitely change the order of succession, and therefore will is very much required. These are few examples which I have given, like mentally retarded son, a divorcee is there. Divorce is happening in the family. See, definitely I want to tell this because many a times what happens is that the amount of maintenance depends on the property which I have. As far as Hindus are concerned, maintenance, husband and wife, they can claim maintenance against each other. As far as other religions are concerned, only wife can claim maintenance from the husband. Now here in this situation, what happens? Suppose my son's divorce case is going on and I have got a lot of properties. I die without making a will and my property would inherit in my son. See, the lady who does not want to stay with my son, she gets more property because my son has now become rich and he has inherited my property. So if there is an amalgamation of the property, if there is an increase for a will, make a will so that the lady who does not, lady or the man, by only lady, who does not want to be a part of your family would be a part of your family because of the mistake which we make of not executing a will. So that is also very important. The next point is that to create a new succession who are otherwise not heirs, like living partners, servant, etc. I know a couple of examples where children are abroad, or see, I stay in Pune and my child stays in Ahmedabad. It is as good as abroad for me because he cannot run when I'm sick and servants are taking care of me. Abroad is not always overseas or in some different country. So if all these things are there, situation is something like this, then I always feel at my dying age that my son has not taken care of me, my daughter has not taken care of me, it is a servant who has taken care of me, and servant is not my heir. If you see the list of successors, servant is not an heir, but I want to give something to that servant. So by making a will, you can give it to your servant. Live-in partners, like people are staying like husband and wife. Live-in partner means it's not only staying together, but staying together like husband and wife. If they are staying together, live-in partners are again not heirs as prescribed by law, but they are taking care of each other. I want to give something to my live-in partner so that you can always make it through your will. People are very बहुत भक्त रहते हैं. They always have some desires that after my death all these things should happen, which is again not part of law. But will is a part of law, of course, where you can always say that after my death I want to donate cows is one example I have given, but we have drafted wills where people say that हमारी श्रद्धा दगड़ू शेट पर है तो आप उनको 1 लाख रुपए दे दीजिए, चांदी का मुकुट बना के सारसबाग के गणपति को दे दीजिए. ऐसे बहुत सारी इच्छाएं रहती है. वृद्धाश्रम को दे दीजिए. I know one of my client who died, he had in his will written that the people in the old age home had taken more care of me than my relatives, so please give all my property to the old age home. So all these things which are there, which is not part of your heir, you can always write and fulfill your moral desires, including your desire of how you should be cremated. You want to donate your body. You don't want that cremation should happen. You don't want all that other rights are which are there, Barawa, Terawa, all these things to happen. And you want that all the money should be given elsewhere. So you can write all those things in your will and it has to be respected. Then you can appoint a guardian and secure future of minors too. This is again a very important part where I just made a mention of this, that if I have a mentally retarded child, or if I'm suffering from some disease and I know that I'm not going to live for next 10 years and my child is too small, I can appoint a guardian and I can secure the future of my minors. Then the beneficiaries is not required to approach the court for succession, heirship, etc. in a registered will or even otherwise. Why I am saying so? Because we will come to the new topic of executor. So if we appoint executor means what, I will come to about it, but just please remember this point, that all the beneficiaries who are there, beneficiaries means who are going to receive the property from the will, they need not approach the court for their succession. Now, what are the ingredients of valid and effective will? Testator and executor. Now, testator is a person who writes the will. He should be major. Now, who is a major? Indian law has declared that any person above 18 years is a major person. He should be of a sound mind. What do we mean by sound mind? Means he must not have any mental disease. He should know what he is writing. He should not be under any pressure. Now, pressure includes anything and everything. Pressure from relatives, pressure from the person with whom the person executing the will is staying. No pressure should be there. Testator should have knowledge of his properties. Means he must know that what properties he is holding, because he can will out only those properties which he is holding. He should also have knowledge of his heirs and beneficiaries, that who is going to be the beneficiary, who is my heir. I would, if time permits, I would like to give one live example of how having the knowledge of heirs is very important. The testator should have clarity of disposition. Now, what is clarity of disposition? Is this that I should know what I'm giving to what, to whom, and how much. Like if I have 100 rupees, I must not say that give my 100 rupees to all my beneficiaries, all my heirs. I should specifically write that 10 rupees to A, 20 rupees to B, 30 rupees to C. I must make it very clear. There should be a clarity of disposition. If there is no clarity, it gives rise to disputes. And two sane and major witnesses along with the proof of name, age and address. About witnesses, we have already spoken. We also require, this is very practical tip which I'm giving, that registered medical practitioner certificate, that is doctor's certificate, preferably MBBS. Please take a certificate about your mental health. Then what is required? The testator has to sign on each and every page of the will, and the witnesses has to sign only on the last page of the will. But definitely take the signature of the testator, that is the person who is making the will, on each and every page, so that we rule out the possibility of changing the earlier pages. Now, of what properties will can be executed? Movable properties. Movable properties, I'll only give few examples, is like bank accounts, gold, shares, jewelries, your documents which you have, important documents if you are having. Immovable properties is land and building. E-property is like password, uploaded pictures, goodwill. Goodwill is not e-property, it comes in movable properties, but you can always share this also through your will. And these are your properties. Your own body, organ donation if you want to make, or you want to declare something about it, you can write about it. So these are the properties which you can write. And your funeral wishes, like use of wood, ghee, so on and so forth. You can always mention this. Now, when we come to movable properties and immovable properties, e-properties, again, I repeat over here because I have seen a lot of disputes happening. Please write everything very clearly. Detailed description is very, very important. For immovable properties, detailed description means at least write what is your property number, where it is located. At least the postal address should be very correct, which is easy to identify. Simply don't write my property is situated in Maharashtra and Karnataka. It's difficult to search. Give your postal address at least, survey number. See, now I'll tell you one difficulty which we come across, and why updating with the law is very important, is that now survey numbers do not exist more. Survey numbers have been converted into CTS numbers now, as far as cities are concerned. So we'll have to keep searching that. So please write about it. I'll give you one example, that one person died without making a will, and he had executed one, he had purchased one property in Tingre Nagar. And this property was purchased in 1979. That property still stands in the name of the person who died. Now the judge, what he is saying is that he is asking you get an recent extract, property card extract, to show that from 79 to 2020, no transaction has taken place and the property has not been transferred. Now we go and tell the judge that, look, we have got a property tax certificate with us. The property tax still comes in our name. The judge is saying nothing. Property tax is not your title document. So what I would like to suggest you all is that after every 3 years, 4 years, try to have your updated 712 extracts. Try to have your updated CTS extracts also, index 2, to show that the property still stands in your name. This is a practical tip, not required by law, but the difficulties which we face in court, I'm just sharing them. So these properties, you can write about it. Any property which is self-acquired. Self-acquired means I earn 2 rupees and I purchase a property worth 2 rupees, or I purchase a property worth 10 rupees by taking a loan. So anything which I've earned out of my sweat is only the property which you can will it out. anything which you have received in ancestral means 4 generations up, you can dispose of only your share in it, not otherwise. So we are talking only about self-acquired properties. Now who goes to the court? Like I gave you all an example. One person is excluded from the will. He will always feel that the person who has executed the will has done injustice. So he may run to the court. The medical certificate which has been obtained, it is from an unqualified or an unregistered doctor. That can be the reason if a dissatisfied person goes. Testator is not in a mental state at the time of making of or executing a will. Now what does this mean is that many a times a person is suffering from some disease and he writes a will. He doesn't know what he's writing, he forgets. There is a pressure. See, the couple of times it has happened that a suit for partition is going on. The children are fighting for property. Father is staying, or the mother, any person is staying with one person, and there is a dispute with the other person, and I write in the will that I am giving all my property to the person with whom I am staying. The other person always feels that there is a pressure on him, and testator is not in a proper mental state, or he is suffering from some disease like Parkinson's disease, this disease, and he does not know what he is writing. So in all such situations, if it comes to the conclusion that he was not in a proper mental state, the person is admitted in the hospital and still the will is being executed, the person is in coma, the will is being executed, all such things have happened. So I'm giving you these examples. So not in a mental state is one reason why the will can be challenged. Consent is not free. Consent in the sense, just as I told you all, that when there are pressures, it does not work. There is a difference with specimen signature. Like somebody would dispute saying that the person who has signed the will, his signature was something different and this is different. So somebody has forged the signature. It happens that the signature, many a times where we have seen is that the wills are executed after the death of the person. So somebody forges the will and then the wills are sent, the signatures are sent to test the age of the ink and everything, and the specimen signatures are then compared. So any person who is excluded, there is a dispute, he would come up with these defenses and any other factor which creates doubts in the will. Further, there are some government compulsions also that if you make a will, then it becomes easy to give away the property. Some do's, not because I am a professional expert in this field, but let me tell you all that please go to the professional. Always go to the professional. Please don't refer to the newspaper clippings. Don't read books on your own. This is a general advice which I'm giving you, that many people come and tell us that, look, this has come in paper, I have drafted this will, do you feel this is correct? But it is not correct. There are many small niceties which are there, which has to be taken care of. If you go to an expert, the expert will consider your family background, your family history will be taken care of, your assets, your wishes. He will explain you everything and then a will be drafted. You have to face minimum difficulties if it is drafted by a professional expert. For example, I'll give you all that if you read in papers, all the articles which I have read it till now, people have not differentiated between absolute interest and lifetime interest. These are two different things. Lifetime interest means the person, for example, if I write in my will, my husband is living and I know I'm going to die. So I write that my husband can live in this house. He has got life interest in the house. And after he dies, the property will go to my son. Here, when I write all these things, I secure a shelter for my spouse. Many people do not know about this, and what they say that हमारा तो क्या है, बाद में सब हम बच्चे को ही देने वाले हैं, तो अभी हम बच्चे को दे देते हैं, और बच्चे को दे देते हैं, बच्चे को जैसे मिल जाता है, बच्चा बदमाश हो जाता है, फिर बच्चा घर में रहता है, बाप माँ, जो भी कोई है जिसकी वजह से प्रॉपर्टी मिली, वो वृद्धाश्रम में चला जाता है या कहीं और शेल्टर होम में चला जाता है. So if you put a cap, here the professional can advise you that okay, fine, it's your desire that you want to give it to the son, but take care of your spouse also, take care of the person who needs also, and professional can take care of all your interest and still bring your wishes into reality. So please go always only to a professional. Please register the will for minimum hassles. Registration is not required. Please understand, registration as per law is not required, but if you, I presume that all the members who are attending the today's lecture will be resident of Pimpri Chinchwad or Pune. As far as Pimpri Chinchwad and Pune is concerned, people prefer the government agencies like Pradhikaran, PCMC, PMC. They would always prefer to have a registered will. I'll tell you the reason again why to register a will. I gave you one example that some wills are executed after the death of a person. As far as will is concerned, when you go to register the will, the witnesses also has to accompany the testator. So the photograph of witnesses is also taken over there. The fingerprints are also taken. Biometrics of the witnesses is also done. It is related and directly connected to their Aadhaar card. So tomorrow when you approach the court, if the witnesses are not living, this helps us that the witnesses were identified at one point of time. Not only that, the testator has to remain present before the registrar. So you can always ensure that the person who drafted the will, the person who signed on the will is the same person. We can reduce the chances of the dispute. So it is an legal advice that please register your will. Cost of registration of the will is much lesser than the cost of dispute. Please remember this. We always advise this, that please write the list of property and list of successors in your own handwriting. Now a question will come, in your own handwriting means what do you mean? Is that when you go to give your instructions to an advocate, write it in your handwriting and give, so that that document is always there. Don't type it and give, because somebody else can type it and give it also. So if you write a list and a list of successors, it becomes pretty easy to prove in the court in case if that situation comes that look, this was the list and this was the intention of the testator. This is again very important, that as I mentioned earlier, that will is one document where you can exclude your natural heirs and successors. For example, if a Hindu male dies without making a will, then who are his successors? His successors are his husband, wife, that is widow, son and daughter, and mother. Now, if you don't want to give to your son, or you want to exclude your wife because you have got some dispute, or you want to exclude your mother, please write reasons for it, that why you want to exclude the natural successor. It becomes pretty easy to understand even the mental state of that person in case you have to approach the court. So please put the original will in a locker or keep it with some safe person. That is very important. Preferably don't keep it in the house if you are going to exclude some people, because if it is found then it gives new rise to the dispute. आज आपको जो संभाल रहे वो कल से संभालना भी बंद कर सकते हैं. And always keep a copy with the draftsman. That is, if you go to an expert, keep a copy of your will with the advocate also. So in case if you lose it or if you don't remember or whatever happens, it always becomes handy. Then in there are many a times question is being asked that nominee, what is the difference between appointing a nominee and bequeathing through will? So let me tell you all are well aware of it, being working in this financial field, that nominee is not the owner. Nominee in a bank can be a third person. It can be one of the owners also. And when the nominee becomes in charge of that money, he is merely a trustee. Other heirs are the owners of that amount. This is very important, that nominee does not become the sole owner of the asset. Like for example, we'll take again the example of the bank. When you have an account in the bank, you can appoint one nominee, but I have got 3 children. So if I appoint one person as a nominee, one of my child as a nominee, the nominee cannot say that since I am a nominee, I am the owner of the whole amount. The nominee is merely a trustee, and nominee has to distribute it as per the succession if there is no will. And if there is a will, let me differentiate over here. Let me tell you all that if I make a will and in my will I write that the nominee is my son, however, I give a direction that my nominee should give the amount to X person, then the nominee here does not have any right. I can always give a go-by to the nominee through my will. So let nominee not be under a misconception that because I am a nominee, I have become a full owner. Nominee is only a trustee, and there is a lot of difference. The will make you the owner. Nominee does not make you the owner. So I have written over here that many think merely appointing nominees is enough. It must be noted that nominee does not become the sole owner of the asset. It's a used misconception. The other legal heirs also become entitled to the asset and stake a claim to it. So this is very important. Therefore, simply because you have added your wife or close relatives as a nominee in a bank form while opening an account, it does not mean that they become entitled to full ownership of it. So therefore, we always keep the reason why I said that movable assets, please mention your bank accounts and everything, and mention about that also, that whom I wish to give. Now is the important topic of executor. Executor is a person appointed by the maker of the will, like the person who is making a will, to manage and distribute the assets to the beneficiaries. One example I'll give over here. Like if my children are not staying with me, they are staying far away, then if I appoint an executor, the executor will step into my shoes after my death, and he will manage and distribute the assets to beneficiaries. My children do not have to come to the court and run in the court for executor is very important. Who is an executor? Any person who is near and dear to me. But please remember, a beneficiary should not be the executor or even the witness. So these are the important things about the executor, what I have written. He should be aware that the existence of will is there. So please tell him that you are the executor of my will, and you can keep a will with him also in a sealed envelope. And he steps into the shoes. This is one. Do I have time? Can you tell me? Because these are the examples which now live I have taken. If
I think we can take question answer so that more and more examples will come up.
Okay, okay. No issues. So this is only one thing which I want to tell now. This Sushant Singh's case is coming up. You all must be keeping a track of it. See, he died unmarried in the age of 30. He had a live-in partner who is not his heir, but she is interested in the property. She cannot be an heir, so she will be deprived of the property. Since he was unmarried, only his mother becomes the heir. His diary, he had a lot of plans, what he wanted to do about his assets. Since there is no will, he cannot do anything. So let us go to question answer session. I have got some FAQs. I will go back to this. If these are the only questions, let us go through it. Whether a will has to be compulsory registered, answer is no. Is there any time limit to register the will? Again, the answer is no. But only one thing, when you go to register the will, your doctor's certificate should be of obtained within 24 hours prior to registering the will. Whether it attracts stamp duty? No, you can write it on a simple paper. Whether a will can be cancelled, modified, how much and for how many times? So long as you are living and you are in your senses, you can cancel the will how many times you want. You can do it. What is a probate? Probate is a certificate which the court gives to the executor, certifying that the will has been executed correctly and there is no harm in executing the will. Can I write my own will? Yes, if you are an expert, please write your own will. This is again very important thing. Can a certified copy of a registered will be given to anyone? See, other documents are public documents. A will, even if you go and register it, nobody else except the executor can get a copy of that will. So your will is always a private document. And where do I register it? Will can be registered anywhere in India. I have a property in Pune. I can go and register my will in Jammu Kashmir also. One more question which is there, whether a will can be registered after the death of the testator. Very rarely it happens, but yes, it can be registered. Yesterday I was talking to the organizers and there was one question which came up, was the advocate's fees. So all our professionals, let me tell you, it depends on the nature of work and service. Many a times wills are very complicated because of the complications in the life of the person executing the will. But one standard definitely which I want to tell, that Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa has given us some guidelines. And as per those guidelines, any person who is having practice of more than 15 years can charge minimum 7,000 for drafting of a will. So minimum 7,000 is the cap, and we can charge anything over and above that also. So this is all what I wanted to say. We'll go to the question answer session. If there are questions, we'll definitely.
Yes, ma'am. So
If
I
there
have
are
one
questions,
question.
Yeah.
So we have discussed many of times people come and say that I don't have any dispute in the family. I am the only son. माझ्या भावाशी माझं खूप चांगलं आहे, काही प्रॉब्लेम होणार नाही. माझी मुलं चांगले आहेत. पण sometimes there is an issue with the bank authorities or some PCMC authorities. So what can a will help? Please tell us, how can a will help in smooth transition of my property even if there is no dispute?
Sir, I could not get a question. You say that you have no dispute with your brother.
No, so basically I have come up some examples, 4 or 5 examples where there was a nominee, there was a second holder in the bank account or in the FDs, but
Okay.
to get the amount transferred to the second holder or to the nominee, there was a lot of hassle. So, so even if there is no dispute, what role does an will play in smooth transition of the property, transmission of the property?
Yes. So if you write in the will that all these property, see, if there is a joint property, joint holder is there, either or, the property will go to the survivor. There is no dispute. But if there is a nominee, single holder is there and there is a nominee, now there are RBI guidelines where the bank is supposed to take only the KYC of the nominee and hand over all the amount in form of a check to the nominee. There are RBI guidelines. But even if there is a dispute, what you will can do is that you write in the will that I hold an account in so-and-so bank and nominee so-and-so. I hereby bequeath all my amounts either to the nominee or to the person you want to give. So if you write that, the bank is supposed to follow all those things. The bank cannot dispute what is written in the will. So writing in the will ease out all the problems if you give clear directions in the will. But because of RBI guidelines, the bank cannot now even ask you to go to the court and obtain a certificate. So this will be considered for small amounts. If there are big amounts, then the court may ask you to go to the courts and obtain a succession certificate or the probate. See, if there is no will, the bank will ask you to go and get a succession certificate from the court, and that becomes really difficult. So if you write a will, it becomes pretty easy saying that the money should be given to so and so person.
Right. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
How can one share password through will?
You have to write in the will, just like you write that I hereby bequeath my property to so and so.
Okay.
You have to write in the will that my password for so and so is whatever is that, and share it to that person. Or you can simply say that I have kept one separate envelope. You can write in the will that I have kept a separate envelope mentioning the password with so and so with the executor. Please, I hereby direct the executor to hand over that envelope to my son, my brother, whoever is that person, and the password can be shared. Either you write it in the will, and if you want to still keep it a secret, put it in a separate envelope and give it to the executor. The executor will hand it over to him.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Ankur, please take any other question.
Yeah, I think whoever has any question, there's a option of raise the hand in the chat box. So just raise the hand and we'll guide the questions. So I think I'll first unmute Mr. Vijay Kumar Mahindrekar to go ahead and ask the question. Sir, please unmute yourself.
Ma'am, thank you very much. It was very knowledge packed session. I was thinking, will me kya session again karna hai? But there is so many things you told about it. Some of questions are already answered. One question I have is, what if the executor dies?
See, if the executor dies, then there is a provision in law where the court will appoint a new executor.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
He will execute the wishes of the dead person.
Okay. And the question you already answered. I just wanted to know list of successors. It is just wife, son, daughter, and mother, or anybody else? Sisters, etc.
Yes. So therefore, I wanted to give you all an actual example, but I know the time is running out.
Yeah.
Can I take 1 minute of yours and give you one live example if you all have time?
Yes, please.
Yes. So I will just share a screen and I'll give you all one live example. Can everybody see the screen?
Yeah, we are able to see.
So the first question which I will answer yours is this, that see, let us understand that there are degrees of relation as far as Hindu law is concerned. For example, if a male Hindu dies, then firstly his children, wife and mother will inherit. This is the first slab. If they are not living, then there comes the second slab. Second slab is also not living, comes the third slab. Now, how knowing your heir is important, I'll give this example. In a 1 minute, I'll just finish this. For example, we take Ram as an example, who is a living person, and Ram dies, leaving behind these heirs. That Ram has a wife who is living, Ram's son is there, Ram's daughter is there, and Ram's mother is living. See, the mother becomes the heir of a male Hindu if she is living. Now what happens, this is a live example which I'm giving because we are dealing with this case, only the names are changed. Ram's wife approaches us and says that, look, Ram has died. He was just 35 years when he died. My one son is 2 years. The other daughter is of 8 years. And Ram's mother is now claiming property. And I require all the property because my children are small. So we called up Ram's mother and we told her that, देखो आपको तो मालूम पड़ गया, आपका बच्चा गुजर गया है, आपकी बहू है, पोते है, तो why don't you execute a will and give the property to your daughter-in-law so that she can live a better life. See, all this money which Ram had was out of his self-acquired. It was out of his own sweat. Ram's mother, she became very wild. She said that, "Aap meri marne ki raah dekh rahe hai kya?" And she started yelling upon me that, "Aap aise kaise soch sakte hai ki main mar jaungi? Mujhe meri chinta nahi hai ki mere bachon ki." So I said, that is not the thing. You will not understand why I'm telling. And we tried to explain her also, but she was in no state to understand. what happens is that after Ram's death, unfortunately, Ram's mother dies in 3 months. She also dies without making a will. Now understand that Ram is a male. His mother became his heir. Ram's mother, she dies without making a will. Now she has inherited 1/4 of Ram's property. Now this 1/4 of Ram's property is distributed to whom now? Ram's children. So Ram's wife is not the heir of Ram's mother. That daughter-in-law is not the heir of mother-in-law. Ram's father, who was otherwise not an heir, he becomes the heir. And Ram has got one brother who otherwise was not an heir, becomes heir. It may sound little complicated, but understand that Ram's mother's heirs are her husband. So for a female Hindu, husband is an heir and her children. And if children are not living, then the grandchildren become the heir. Why I am giving you this example is that if I don't know who my heirs are, my property will be distributed to so many people. Now, after Ram's mother, we are talking to brother of Ram. We are still continuing with that dispute. The brother of Ram comes and tells us that, देखो मैडम, कायदे से मुझे मिला है, ये मॉरल बातें आप मत करो हमारे साथ, मुझे मिला है, मेरे नसीब का था, मैं कुछ देने वाला नहीं हूं. And therefore, executing a will becomes very important, because all those who are otherwise not my heirs have become my heirs in this live example, which I'm giving, and we are fighting since past 3 years. Therefore, at what age the will has to be executed, the question has not come up, but I am giving an answer that there is no chronology of death now. A person can die of any age. So any person who is above 18 and has got some assets, please execute a will, and you can keep changing the will whenever you feel that this is the right time to change the will. You can always change the will, but please execute the will as soon as you come to know that it's the right time to execute.
I hope Vijay sir, your question got answered. We have a next question from Mr. Sanjeev. Please unmute yourself, sir.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, ma'am. It was a wonderful session. It was quite beneficial. In fact, you covered a lot of specific and very pertinent points like positive discrimination, order of succession, absolute and lifetime beneficiary, and so on. So it's quite helpful. I had a question about the dynamic nature of the assets, which is kind of covered, but since this is the very premise of my entire will, I just want to reiterate and confirm that I've already created a will, and the way it is created basis, given that assets are of very dynamic nature, right? Every 2-3 years, there can be at least 20-30% change in the nature and composition of my assets. I don't want to, of course, do the high maintenance of doing the will changes, etc. every 2-3-4 years, which is why what I had thought of and done is that I have nominated the designated or desired nominee for each of my assets. And then what I have done in my will is that I have just mentioned that I have created my nominations, etc. accordingly. I want those nominees to be the true absolute beneficial owners of those assets, not just the custodians or trustees, but they are expected to be the true beneficial owners. That's how I've drafted, and I've not listed my assets and so on. But then what I, as a good practice, I'm trying to do is that I have a listing for all such my assets with specifications, references, etc. And I, on a regular interval, try to share those with the respective beneficiaries. Okay. So, but again, there is no listing of any assets. There is no quantum of any assets mentioned, etc. in my will, except for very few cases where I have said, in case nomination details are not available in the respective asset, then yeah, it has to go in this manner. So I just wanted to get your thought and opinion. Is that good enough, or is any shortcoming of that?
The thing which definitely I would like to tell you is that list of assets should be there at one point, at some place. If you don't want to list it in your will, at least say that all the list is with my CA. he would definitely have the list. But the list is very important, sir. You are giving the list to the nominees and you are informing to the beneficiaries and informing them. That is correct. But see, there will be a dispute that if there are no nominees, where would the property go? You'll have to at least mention that where there are no nominees, these properties have to go to some X person, or at least some indication of where your properties are situated, where they are invested. You can at least say that you have invested in some companies, this, that, something or the other detail has to be there, sir. Don't keep it too vague. It becomes little difficult. Because tomorrow if the law changes, we cannot change the will. The person who has made the will is no more on this earth. So if the law changes, then we cannot help it. So the beneficiary has to suffer a lot. And therefore we say that instead of allowing the beneficiaries to suffer, it is better that even if it becomes a bit tedious job, please prepare an exhaustive list of everything of what you have. There is something called codicil also in law, which we say that if you don't want to keep changing the will, you can just keep mentioning the list of additions in your assets and add it to your will. But please mention it in detail.
I hope your question is answered, sir. We have our next question from Mr. Paresh Mehta. I request him to please unmute himself.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
My question is, now we have to mention the financial details, but our financials are always ever changing. The financial details are there. So how to manage that into the will?
I'll give you an example,
Like
ma'am, that he wants to ask is, let's say I have invested in some shares or in some mutual funds, and that continuously keeps on adding up, or we keep on replacing the shares and the mutual funds. So how can we add that details into the will?
Sir, at least mention that where you have invested, where you are investing, as I told, and also please write this, that in what name you have invested. Some details you give that. Because
but that details will keep on changing, right? Let's say I've invested in a Kotak mutual fund, and tomorrow I sell out Kotak mutual fund and add into a HDFC mutual fund. So that detail will keep on changing frequently.
so what you can do at least is this much. You can say that you can at least make bunches, like all the mutual funds which are there will go to one person, all the mutual funds standing in my name.
Okay.
At least you can differentiate as per your investments, type of investments. Give some ideas, some clue has to be given, sir. I understand your difficulty and it will be too verbose and it will be too long. And you have to keep writing your will every day then. And which is not practical. Yes, but at least make some bunches, make some compartments saying that mutual funds will go to him, shares will go to him, equities will go to some other person. Make that. There is one more question which has come in chat box. Is that how about if we have given cash to someone, can we mention in will so that it can be recovered without any disputes? You can definitely mention about that. Whether it will be recovered without any dispute or not, I cannot answer that, because the person who has to return the money, he may ask you the proofs. Please understand that if you have given cash to someone, we don't keep proofs of all those things. So it is a bit risky thing, but technically answering the question, whether we can mention that in the will, so yes, you can definitely mention. I'll just refer to some questions which has come in the chat box. If a will is registered and then subsequently amended, and amendment is not registered, then what will be the consequences? I would definitely like to mention over here that if you're making your will, see, the will starts with one sentence. At least those wills which I have always drafted is that this is my last will. So if you write into that, the amended will, that this is my last will, please make a mention in that earlier I had executed a will and it is registered at so and so serial number, and I hereby revoke that will. That would suffice the purpose, and the latest will which is executed will always be considered. What if executor dies? I have already answered that.
I think we have a next question from Mr. Samir. I request him to please unmute himself.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you are audible.
Yeah, I thank you, Shrivish and team for arranging this wonderful session. And ma'am, thank you. It's very knowledgeable session for us. And my question is that suppose we are bequeathing the property for our legal here, that property.
The voice is not
I
audible,
cannot hear,
sir.
sir. I cannot hear.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
So we are not able to hear you.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thank you, Shrivish and team for arranging this session. And I thank you, ma'am, also for giving this knowledgeable session to us on this Sunday. And
Not audible.
Not audible. No. So we're not able to hear you.
loan
Sorry.
liability.
Meantime, can I take some two questions have come up in the chat box?
Sir, Samir sir, can you please type the question in the chat box so that we can take the question?
Yes.
We're not able to hear your voice.
Yeah, I already typed.
Okay, sir. We'll take that question.
One question was, what is a joint will? Joint will is two people executing a will. That will is very much valid. Like I say that I, Advocate Pratibha Arjun Joshi Dalal, and my husband Arjun Mahesh Dalal, we both are jointly executing this will. So this is a joint will where two people execute one will. So that is the thing. Another question is, if father has made a will and he passes away, can mother change the will? Answer to that is no, the mother cannot change the will. Only the person who makes the will can change the will. What if the executor is not appointed? So if the executor is not appointed, then still we get a certificate from the court that is called letters of administration with will, and with that certificate we can go ahead with the distribution of asset, and beneficiary can be go to the court and approach for that reason. If one's mother dies, if one's mother is beneficiary, can one's father be a witness as he is not a direct beneficiary? Answer to that is yes. A person who is not a beneficiary should preferably be a witness, otherwise it casts a doubt. How is executor fee charged? As a lump sum or a percentage of assets managed? What's low and high range of fee usually? Sir, as far as executor's fee is concerned, I cannot answer to that, because normally executor is a person who is a very close to the person executing the will. All the examples which I have come across is that the normal charges of executor, like if he has to shuffle between the courts and all those things, those are decided amongst the relatives who are living, and they are not decided on the person taken. Normally reasonable charges are taken. What about the loan liability in will? So you can mention about that also, that if you have taken some loans, then you can mention that first the loans have to be disbursed, and thereafter the balance property will be managed. If you don't write about the loan and the properties are distributed, then the survivors who are there, they are entitled to repay the loan, because the creditor has all the rights to recover the amount from the relatives or the successors. So whether you write it or you don't write it, the creditor gets a right to recover the money. Can an executor be a relative? Yes, executor can be a relative. In a joint will, if one person dies, can the other person change it? It is no, it is not possible. So we always advise that please don't execute joint wills. Practically, it is very, very difficult. There are a hell lot of practical difficulties which we come across. For land and apartments, is there nomination possible? What's the best way to cover in will if parents, wife, kids all reside? Sir, this I can answer person to person. What's the best way to cover in will? Because all the relatives have been included in this, parents, wife, kids, everyone resides. It becomes a dispute for land and apartment. And even if nomination is there, I repeat, that nominee is a mere trustee. He doesn't become the owner. Whatever you write in the will, they become the owner. So you give the property to whom you love the most. That is what I can tell. But
I think
you can definitely make an arrangement for the residents. Like I said, that there are some terminologies in law like life interest and absolute interest. We can discuss about all those things in person. For example, mother is living. So we can say that so long as my parents are residing, this property cannot be sold. My wife is residing, property cannot be sold. They have a right to live over there. And after their lifetime, the property will go to my kids. So the ownership will vest at the time of death, but they become the owner only after the death of all these people to whom the life interest is given. So in that way you can cover it, but there are many other ways also in which it can be covered. This is one example which I have given.
I think we'll take last two questions. We have a next question from Mr. Alok. So I'll just ask him to unmute himself.
Yeah, ma'am. My question is, suppose a flat is given, so a person gives ownership of the flat. He has only one flat, and he says that two of my sons will own 50% of the flat. Suppose one wants to sell it and the other does not. How will this be managed?
So the simple thing what you can do in this is that you say that I give my flat equally to both my children. The other person who does not want to sell the flat, and one person wants to sell the flat, then the person who does not want to sell the flat and the other wants to purchase the flat, the money can be paid to him. You can decide on that, and you can definitely make a provision in a will itself that if a person is objecting, then the person can be paid off from the person who wants to own the flat. Like A and B are there. A wants to sell the flat and B does not want to sell the flat. This is one part of the dispute. Then a suit for partition will lie because they become the owner. Sometimes there is another contingency also which comes up, is that a person is ready to purchase the flat and pay off the other co-owner. So that also can be done. The third thing is that if a person wants to sell a share, you can always write in your will that a preference has to be given to the co-owner. So there are many alternatives which are there, which can be definitely worked out.
Thank you, ma'am. I have some other questions and suggestions also, but I will contact you again.
Yeah, sure. We have a next question from Mr. Chitlange, sir. So please unmute yourself, sir. Chitlange, sir, please unmute yourself. I think by the time he unmutes himself, I have a next question from Shriyus.
So, ma'am, there's one question. If somebody is married for the second time due to the death of wife, okay, and he has one son from his previous wife and one child from the next marriage, how can he protect the best interest of the kid from the first marriage? Because he cannot be the nominee without having a guardian.
Sir, he becomes an heir. The children who are born, see, the example which you have given is that the first wife dies, leaving behind a child. The man marries and he has a child from the second marriage also. So both these children are legal and they can inherit the property of the person.
No, the lady already had one child before marriage, marrying the person.
So he is not an heir, sir. He is not an heir.
Okay, okay.
The child.
So my question is, how do I protect the best interest of my own child, my own biological child before second marriage?
Oh, okay. So you can always write in your will, make a very specific note of that in the will about the marital history, that my first marriage, I have one child, I have married second or whatever, or in case you can put up that contingency also This contingencies also can be worked out that
Okay.
in case I marry, and you put again those contingencies which are always permissible in law, that if I marry a person who already has a child, then in such situations, I would like to deprive that child and I want to give all my assets to my own biological child. You can always mention that, because the child who will come to your house after remarriage, he is not your heir. He will be the heir of his biological father.
Okay.
So that is one thing. Unless and until you adopt him, he does not become your heir. So you can definitely mention about it. And even if you don't mention about it, still he does not become your heir, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
One contingency which you can put up. Second contingency which you can always put it up is that if again a child is born out of the second marriage, what you want to do about it, you can always put it.
Right. Thank you, ma'am.
We have a last question from Mr. Chitlange. So please go ahead and ask a question.
Yeah. Yeah, you are listening. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
we are able
Yeah.
to hear you.
If I have got some, if there are some debtors or if I have got some receivables, then can I how to mention the distribution of receivables or whom to go those receivables?
Sir, you can mention in your will that you can give a list of your debtors, that these are the list of debtors, and please mention that when you had given what you had given, all the list of documents, if you have proofs of all those things, please mention about it. And you can say that all the cost which you have, which will be incurred for recovering that, should be utilized from the property, and rest can be divided. Now you will have to decide on that from whom you have to receive how much. Two again contingencies, two options which always come is that if you have two debtors and you have two children, you can always say that from debtor X, the money will go to my child A, from debtor Y, the money will go to my son B. You can always mention it in this way, or you can mention that both the children should work to recover the money and then distribute it equally. Or if the child who is willing to work for recovery, the money will go to him. There are many combinations which we can do it, sir. There are many combinations. Like you can always say that one person who is staying, for example, one person is staying over here and all the debtors are in Pune only. One child is staying in Pune. You can always say that give the cost of recovery to the son and rest all can be divided. So all these things you can mention in the will. Definitely you can mention in the will.
Yes. And that becomes binding on the debtor?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, thanks.
I think all questions are finished now, because it's almost more than 30-40 minutes. It is as good as another session. It was very nice and wonderful presentation, Pratibha ma'am. I think now all our clients are aware about how to write the will. And thank you very much for enlightening us on will writing. Thank you all for joining in and taking time out for this session. We can now conclude this session. If you have any questions or if you want to contact with Pratibha ma'am, please let us know. We will share her contact details with you all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Shishir sir, for this opportunity. It was a pleasure to have an interaction with you all. So should I leave the meeting, sir?
Yeah. We can conclude now.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.